out there in banjo land. My name is Tom Collins, and I want to show you how to create rich, beautiful, bright, chiming natural harmonics for the 5-string banjo today on Banjo Quest. What is a natural harmonic? A natural harmonic is a tone, a pure overtone that's created when we isolate that tone with the use of a very light touch with the fretting hand. I'm going to show you how to do that today. We are going to be mostly concerned with 12th fret harmonics, but I do want you to know that there are also 7th fret harmonics and 5th fret harmonics. They get a little bit harder the further you get away from the 12th fret. So over on Patreon, we are working on Jack of Diamonds, and the 4th part, I'm using harmonics to simulate the sound of a pizzicato violin. If you want more information, if you want the entirety of the tab that I've been working on for Jack of Diamonds, along with a ton of other stuff, head on over to Patreon. The link is in the description below. So I've divided this into a couple different steps. The first is to find the fret. You've got to get over the fret, and unlike a normal fretting scenario where we are sort of between the wires, with harmonics, we need to be directly above the wire. So that's really critical in making sure that this happens. The second thing you got to do is you're not pushing the strings down to the fret. You're simply letting the finger very, very gently and lightly touch the strings without very much pressure at all. So just set the finger down really lightly. And the last thing is coordination between right and left hands. You want to let off as soon as the harmonic hits so you can get that chiming, sustaining effect. If you keep your finger down, that sustaining effect will not be as prominent and your harmonics will tend to die pretty quickly. Probably the easiest way to get really good harmonics is to use a bar type shape with your ring finger. So if I'm using harmonics going in, I'm gonna slide that bar over to the 4th string. And then if I'm going out, I'll slide back towards the 1st string. To get really rich chiming harmonics that have lots of sustain, we're going to use a slightly different technique. I'm going to use the very end of my ring finger pad, and I'm going to strike the 1st string, for example, while keeping that pad of my ring finger very, very gently resting on the string at the 12th fret. And then as soon as the tone hits, I let off with my left hand. And here's a little trick that might help you hide the fact that we lose sustain pretty rapidly in the 5-string banjo, especially compared to like a guitar. If you double thumb your way through, very lightly, it has a way of creating a certain amount of density behind the harmonics. So this is a little trick I use to create a sense of density instead of having this wide open space. Sometimes space is good, sometimes I want space. And other times I want that density. So that's me ghosting the 5th string, which I do all the time. We're gonna be getting into more of that over on Patreon if you wanna check that out. All right, so now you know how to create beautiful harmonics on the 5-string banjo, but that's not enough. If we just play them, they're kind of a novelty. You need to figure out how to integrate them into your arrangements in order for them to be useful. And one of the tricks to that, one of the most important elements of that, I think, is being light on the back of the neck. Because if we're gonna go all the way up to that 12th fret, all the way up, we've gotta be super light on the back of the neck and on the strings so we can get back and forth between this 12th fret node and 1st position. So in the tune we're working on for Patreon, Jack of Diamonds, we're gonna be working on this in the 4th part to simulate a pizzicato fiddle. And this is what it sounds like. So you can see me working back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of difficult to get all the way up there and then back. So here are a couple little things to think about when you're trying to make this happen. The first is be super light on the back of the neck. When I'm sliding up there, I have very little surface area touching the back of the neck. I'm letting go of the instrument. This goes back to why your hold on the instrument is so vitally important. If your banjo is moving around without your fretting hand engaged, then this is going to be really difficult. You're gonna feel like you're trying to hit a moving target. So you've gotta really lock in, get the pot locked in and welded to your body so you can just slide up to that 12th fret and back without having your neck moving all over the place. The other thing I like to think about is reference points. And we don't only have visual reference points on the 5-string banjo, we've got other reference points that you carry with you all the time. So for me, for my posture and my shape, I'm down in my first position. When I slide up, the top of my arm from my shoulder to my elbow touches my side. So I can feel when I'm at the relative 12th fret position because this part of my arm, my upper part of my arm, gently touches the side of my torso. So I'm using a non-banjo reference to feel when I am at that general location. It's actually more than general, it's pretty precise. So I go from first position all the way up and I can feel that arm touch my torso. I know I'm in the ballpark, I know I'm very close. Then I make my micro adjustments before I hit those harmonics. So these little reference points, it's funny, a lot of times we're thinking of reference points on the instrument, but these reference points on yourself can be super useful. And this is an example of me using that to get locked in to that 12th fret position. The other concept I use to get there in time and back is the 5th string. So with Clawhammer Banjo, we have a saving grace. We've got something that a lot of other instruments don't have. We've got an upstroke under which we can move. So I am using the 5th string to move and break to my next position. And that 1/8 note beat at this tempo provides me enough time to get to where I need to go and back. So we're in 3/4 time. I've got 3 downstrokes, 3 upstrokes. On the 3rd upstroke is when I move. So check this out. I go 1 and 2 and 3, move. So I'm moving back to first position under cover of my upstroke. And that allows me to be pretty seamless because I'm using the 5th string to cover my motion. This is something I use all the time. You want to be one step ahead of the music and planning and strategizing this kind of thing out. It allows you to be very mobile on the fingerboard because you're using the upstroke to cover when you move. All right, so let's look at it from the first position to the 12th fret. In this particular arrangement, I've got an entire ditty. That's 2 8 notes time period that I can get from my first position all the way up to the 12th. So if I play my pattern, that is when I break from my first position and move. I'm feeling it in my torso. I can tell when my arm is impacting my torso. I'm in the ballpark. Thinking downstream is such a powerful technique for a musician. It prepares you for the tough stuff. It gets you to where you need to be before you need to be there. So you're ready to act in the moment. And that really is the meta lesson to getting good harmonics on the 5-string banjo. Whether or not you can play great harmonics doesn't matter, but having the skill to move quickly, silently, and get to where you need to be ahead of time will pay off no matter what you're playing on the instrument. All right, that does it for me today. I hope that helps you get a handle on harmonics. How are you going to use them in your own tunes? Please post below. I'd love to hear how you're using harmonics. If you like what I do, if you want to jump in and support what I do and have access to hundreds of videos that are not on YouTube or at least publicly available, hop on over to Patreon, Banjo Quest. Look in the description below. There's a link. Also, t-shirts are for sale. If you would like to buy one to support what I do, that would be awesome. And you get an incredibly cool t-shirt in the process. And I will see you next time on Banjo Quest.